welcome to the last game of the evening in Chasm the Rift. Right. So where to start with this one? I know. So Chasm the Rift. This is an actual old school FPS. I do want to stress that, as opposed to one of the retro, or one of the fake retro FPS games that are currently clogging up Steam. Now this is a bona fide cult classic. Emphasis on the cult in this case, because so Chasm the Rift came out in 1997, in the dying days of DOS, and didn't exactly do a lot of business. And there are there are reasons for that, I postulate. I'm actually going to get into that a bit later, because I think I can understand why this game sank beneath the waves. But suffice to say, Chasm the Rift came out during the initial hotbed of the 90s FPS. One of the first products out of Eastern Europe, specifically, in this case, it came out of Ukraine. The first game from Action Forms. The developers of the Carnosaur series and Cryostasis. They're still around today. It's just they moved into mobile development. Don't ask me why. I'll have to ask them why if we ever get them on the program. But the point is, they're actually a development concern that's still around, even though just in a vastly different field. Anyway, so Chasm the Rift is quite beloved by those who actually did play this back in the day, which seems to be a few people in the industry, probably most prominent is the creator of Dusk, David Szymanski. But Perilous Warp and Hrot also draw influence from Chasm the Rift here.
I think Perilous directly mentions it on their Steam page as an inspiration, if I recall correctly.
It wouldn't surprise me. Perilous Warp, the developers of that game really, really, really loved Chasm the Rift. It's a shame that they couldn't produce a product as good as Chasm the Rift. I'm not saying that Perilous Warp is bad, but it is definitely less than Chasm the Rift. So, like I said, the cult that did play it does worship the ground that this thing spills blood on. But,
how long were you waiting on that joke?
I'm quite a while. Anyway, but not something that commands the level of deification of, say, even something like Blood or Shadow Warrior. The lesser known good build games. I've seen far more games take influence from Blood than I have Chasm. But I would put Chasm above something, say, like Strife, which we reviewed quite a while ago at this point.
Yep.
But, so, it's got its devotees. And that's because Chasm is a weird game that's got one foot in the past and one foot in the future. Like, it's this assortment of ideas that were ahead of the curve on the one hand. Like, a good example is the enemies, because it's got a full-on dismemberment system. I guess maybe not full-on, like, but it's got more of a dismemberment system than you'd expect in 1997. As in, you can remove arms, legs, and heads. And that's not something you really saw in FPSs during that time.
Also, wasn't this one of the early full mouse look games? Like, I know it was around before it, but it wasn't fully utilized in that era for a little while.
I want to say yes. The thing is, I don't know enough about the original version to say yes, because like FPS controls really, like, we're still, believe it or not, getting standardized in 1997. Like, it's really not until like 1998 when I think things really settled on WASD. You know, when like Half-Life and such came out.
Yeah. And then, like, the last formal standardization really wasn't till, like, I want to say Halo PC did a lot of standardization, but it also did a lot of standardization for console, and that's a topic of discussion for another day entirely.
Yeah, Halo did standardization for consoles. Like, 2001, FPS controls were well standardized on the PC. You know.
Fair.
You know, another example is, like, the enemies are, you know, this game has fully polygon models.
Yeah.
For its objects.
I imagine this stressed hardware at the time quite immensely.
You'd think that, but they cut corners in other areas. Like, do you see the level here?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you notice anything about it?
A lot of repeating textures.
Not just that. Do you notice how 45 degrees it all is?
Oh, they're doing the Doom trick.
No. Sorry, the 90 degrees. They're doing Wolfenstein 3D.
Ah, that trick.
Yeah. Like, this game is right angle for fucking miles. I will say it gets better in later episodes when they've got more polygonal objects on screen and shit. But, you know, this here is why I think this game really became a second-level cult classic. Because in spite of all of the fancy tech ideas it has going with its enemies and firearms and so on and so forth, you know, aside from being very clearly inspired by Quake, it did come out in 1997. That's a year out from Quake. Plenty of time in those days to draw influence. But it's like, I just could not get around the fact that the levels here were reminding me of the mazes of the Wolf 3D engine. And that is a problem for 1997.
Yeah. If it was early 90s, it'd be fine.
Yeah. Wolfenstein 3D came out in 92, 93?
I thought it was 91, but I know it was early 90s. I'll give you that.
It was, no, it was 93, I want to say. So, you know, my point is, you know, in 97, where, you know, we're post-Quake, you know, where we got Duke Nukem 3D. Hell, 1997, that's the year that Blood and Shadow Warrior come out, which are doing tremendous things with the build engine. You know, even though they're not full 3D, like, the level design in like Blood is just it just blows this game out of the water. There's no getting around it. And it's, like I said, its big fancy ideas are more in its more in the subtler things of their tech, like how they get the lights going, and like in the first level, there's a bunch of paper that has wind going on, which once again is the kind of thing that's mind blowing in 1997.
Like, if you look at it hard enough, you can kind of see the trick, but it's still really interesting for 97.
Yeah, like I said, this game is really interesting under the hood. But, you put this against the class of, most of the class of like 97 and so on and so forth, and I'm like, just playing through this, I'm like, I get it. I get why this, this became the devoted cult classic that it did. It's like, it's got a lot, it's got a lot of fascinating stuff going on here. But on the other hand, like, if I were playing this in 97, I think I might have been, I would have been pretty disappointed. Like, because we just had so much more going on. I mean, hell, like, this is the year that Quake 2 comes out. And,
Do we need to remind you about Quake 2?
Yeah, like, Quake 2 is just like 1,000 times more dynamic than this game. It's not so much that this game is bad, but the archaic parts were just really fucking archaic for 1997. Like, you really couldn't get away with this kind of, this kind of symmetry, if you will.
But yeah, like, these lighting effects. I know this is on like modern remaster thing, but like, if you try to do this in like older games,
no, these lighting effects are in the original.
Yeah, and it's like, they're really good.
Yeah,
hell, there are even some modern games that can't get this shit right.
Yeah, like,
keep in mind the traditional way of doing lighting in games of that era was to paint the ground slightly lighter in certain areas.
Indeed.
Well, I mean that's the trick here. It's giving the effect of real-time lighting.
On hardware that probably would have blown up if you tried to do actual real-time lighting.
Yeah. Like I said, this game is just filled with tricks like this.
Yeah, this is still doing that. It's just doing it in a dynamic way that is really
it's
effective.
It's really interesting if you're detail-oriented. Like, but let's be honest, the FPS players, especially in the 90s, weren't exactly known for, finely honed detail observations. I'm not saying that's true or not. It's just, the FPS scene was kind of seen as the knuckle draggers, like, of PC gaming, like, for a good while there. We're talking, this is before, like, even Half-Life came out and changed the game, literally. And, like, another thing here is, you got the commander here. Look at this.
Yeah, for 97, that model is stunning.
Yeah, not just the detail, but the
animation,
the mouth.
Yeah.
The mouth moves, the eyes blink.
Yeah. I will say the eye blink on the professor or whatever over here is a little awkward, but like
once again,
it's still
for 90,
awesome.
Yeah, 97 technology here.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll guarantee you that there's nothing below the waist of what they're showing.
Oh yeah,
But,
I imagine if I probably hacked it to make the text box disappear, there probably is not much below that.
Yeah, if anything. But that's not the point. Like you're not supposed to be seeing that. Like, so like I said, this game is just endlessly fascinating with its combination of future and past technology.
And like even how the clothing is layered, it looks like it's clothing, not just like painted on the model.
Yeah. Like, on the other hand, you have the fucking super shotgun here with its goofy cones.
Yeah. And then we have the regular, I believe that's a shotgun.
Yeah, that's the regular shotgun.
I mean, I think the only real knock I'd have for the regular shotgun is you can't really, like, it doesn't have an animation for racking it, but, like...
Yeah, like...
If that's your only nitpick on it, good lord.
Yeah. Like I said, this thing is doing some amazing things for 97. But on the other hand, it's doing some just downright creaky shit for 97. And unfortunately, like, they're doing it in the level design.
Yeah. Like, there's definitely an alternate future where there is a Chasm 2, and they go even harder, Am I still here?
You're still here. I don't know if Adam is. I think he is, but he hasn't said anything in a bit.
That's concerning. Please stand by. It seems our host is spontaneously combusted. Okay, maybe not that bad, but Adam, what the hell happened? And Adam dropped. Wonderful.
Also, over the last few minutes, the stream image has had all of our bubbly things disappear, but I'm still coming through there.
Bubbly things?
The profile pics that flash while we're talking.
Those don't come up on if we're using Skype.
Yeah. Hello?
Are you back?
Sort of.
I'm guessing by the. I was about to say, guessing by the power or by the audio quality, you're on phone.
Yeah. The power just went out.
Ooh. We good to proceed, or?
Yeah, for the time being.
All right. But yeah. Where were we? Other than
talking about the level design.
I think I made a joke that in an alternate universe, if there was a Chasm 2, they go even harder.
Yeah, they've been doing some really interesting technical flexes in terms of certain parts of the art design, but not all of it. And that doesn't necessarily reflect entirely in the gameplay.
Right.
In terms of the gameplay, it's, well, fairly standard for the time. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't exactly call it run-of-the-mill either. Especially the bosses. The bosses, they're all puzzle bosses. I guess I could put them a notch higher than Quake 1's bosses, but that's not saying much.
Indeed.
Like, honestly, the worst part, the bosses are the worst parts of the game.
I'd imagine.
It was really, really stupid puzzles.
You break up a little bit, Adam. Hope he's not losing cell service too.
Like the first boss, you have to wait a while. You literally have to wait until a gate opens, and you have to lure the sarcophagus into the fan. To say nothing about the Sphinx. Easily the worst part of the game. Like Egypt was a low point. Mikaro was right. Egypt is evil. Anyway, so while the game didn't do well enough to warrant a full-on expansion pack, it did get a few extra levels that are actually included. So it does put it above other packages we reviewed this year.
Adam, you still there?
Hang on. So, as much as I'd like to learn about this particular game, I do have to take care of some things here. So, Chasm was in at $19.99, $20. Might be a bit much for this particular title, but you wouldn't go wrong with it either.
Indeed.
Anything else you guys want to say about this?
No, it's an interesting title. Definitely worth looking into. And who knows, maybe we can drum up enough support, it can get the sequel it kind of deserves?
Said well enough.
Alright, I guess we're done with this one.
Yeah. Apologies about that. It's just dealing with the power outage that came on us.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We should probably wrap up though. Your sound quality is pretty hot donkey butts.
Yeah, I know. All right. So yeah, that'll about do it for this installment of the Fragments Silicon Reviews. I do the extended wrap up, but just catch us on Wednesday.
Give me 1 second. I have the thing in front of me.
Okay.
We are Wednesday, February 21st. We are having Max Oakland, an indie developer, and Friday, February 23rd, we are having Taigo Zinda of Gamecraft Studios. As far as reviews, we have Book of Demons, Despair Blood Curse, Spearmaster, and Nullman.
Yeah.
Also,
be sure
non-zero
to check
chance.
your respective libraries for those.
Yep.
And I'll catch you both on Wednesday.
Yep.